Okay, the leaked agreement between the PGA Tour and LIV or PIF, whatever you want to call it, that is what everybody's talking about right now. And here's what I've come to the conclusion of. Let me know what you think, by the way. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Appreciate the support. Always read. I read as many comments as y'all put down there. Like, it gets pretty overwhelming, but I try to go through every single comment and gather just kind of the general vibe of what's going on and what everybody's thinking. But I definitely read through nearly all, but I try to read through all of them, but sometimes they're in the hundreds and hundreds of comments. So thank you a lot. A lot of engagement. Love it. A lot of great stuff happening in the world of golf, every which way there is. And now we have this leaked. I say leaked because I don't believe for a minute it was leaked, like accidentally. I think it was leaked on purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new sponsor for the podcast, and this one's going to take just a little level of maturity, but I guarantee you it will be well worth it for every guy out there. Please welcome Manscaped to the podcast, and your balls will thank you. Let's see what we've got in our package that you can order. Leave a link in the video description below for their website. You get a 20% discount using my code Mr. Short Game. So be sure to check that out. And let's see what we got here on our package. One, we've got some what they call performance boxer briefs. We've got this crop preserver. It's kind of like aftershave for your stuff. This is a crop reviver. Lotion and like aftershave. This would be your weed whacker. You get in here, trim up the little nostril jungle you got going on. Your lady will thank you. Weed whacker right there. This is what they call the lawnmower. We got a little light here for you so you can get around safely is what I'm saying. And you get this little baggie too if you get this particular gift basket. They have a number of other products that you and your missus or significant other will thoroughly enjoy. I speak from some experience. People have been asking me why I'm in such a good mood all the time. Well, now you know. Manscaped, 20% discount, link below. Use the code Mr. Short Game. Now back to the show. Whoever or however this came to be, it was intentional. Let's get this out there now. Why now? Okay, well, we have the LIV event in Spain just about to happen, and these players are going to be asked questions. And I think they wanted them to be asked questions about this, the framework of the PGA Tour and LIV and the new entity and what it's going to be. Here's why I think it was leaked, purposely leaked now, because I think they want the players to not really say anything. You have some of them saying like, Phil, is actions speak louder than words. I think we don't need to posture and say like anything, but that in and of itself is kind of posturing, right? We don't need to say we won, but we won. That's what's happening. And that's exactly what they're doing. And the PGA Tour players, they're not really saying anything other than the fact like, well, okay, we don't know. And in this framework, it's laid out that there won't be any, let's say, poaching of players. We won't go after your players to come play on LIV from PGA Tour. The framework is that these tours will coexist, that Jay Monahan will continue to be the CEO or the commissioner of the new entity that's going to be created. And that all this stuff and obviously the litigations are dismissed with prejudice. So they cannot be resubmitted and brought back to trial again. You can't sue later. So they're out. And I think that's ultimately what the PGA Tour really wanted out of this was, hey, let's get out of the lawsuits because that's going to just kill us financially. We're not going to be able to survive. So let's get that out. And they're trying to what I've said before was that they want to get out information little by little. They want us, the general public, and primarily the PGA Tour players, they want them to get stuff slowly. And with this, let's say, leaking of the framework or the potential framework, it's just a little bit, right? A little bit at a time. More will come out again. I guarantee you there's going to be more leaks. All right, like, oh, we got that, but it's not leaks. Let's not be fooled here. We know it's intentional. It's on purpose. You're not part of. No, but you're not part of this agreement, this inner circle of this new entity. You're not part of that. And somebody who is going to just leak stuff out and not, you're not a mole, okay? You don't want to be a mole in this organization. You don't want to be one of those people, because if it's found out, then you're going to be in some serious trouble. So this is, in my opinion, 100% intentional. They want it out there because who leaked it? How did so many people get it? Gee, what a convenient time for all of us to get this information. This is just a little bite-sized morsels of what's to come. And even in this framework, it's laid out that, hey, okay, all these things that we need to hammer out, there's a timeline for it. And if we can't get it done, then it's a no-go by the end of the year. And that's like false hope for some of the people who don't want this to happen. They're just like, well, potentially it's not going to work out. It's going to work out. It's already worked out. We just don't know the details yet, but it's all been worked out. So what they don't want, well, what they say they don't want you to like poach players and pull them off the PGA Tour okay, so you can't go and recruit for your team, for your league, for your whatever. You can't recruit people out. But people are free to ask questions and inquire if they wanted to jump from one tour to the other tour. They're free to do that. That's fine. You just can't actively recruit. And I think that's the big thing. They don't want people to just throw money at them and recruit them out of PGA onto LIV. And okay, fair enough. We're not going to recruit. You don't need to recruit anymore at this point. It's quite obvious that they're there. It's quite obvious that, let's say, for example, you're Brooks Koepka and you are a captain of your team, or Dustin Johnson. Well, it's quite obvious that that's your team. And these guys all play together in Florida, or where most of them are in Florida, right? They're all playing together. And so you're going to have a conversation like, hey, Ricky Fowler, I can't recruit you, obviously, per the agreement. I can't go and recruit you. So we're not going to talk about my team while we're hanging out together for the next 8 hours. Okay, I can't actively recruit you. Just FYI. Okay, but Ricky is free to say, hey, tell me about your team. How is it structured? Are you looking for new players? What are you looking for? How would that work what if a guy like me wanted to be on your team? How would I go through that process? See, that can happen. But you can't just recruit, like you can't go to Ricky and say, hey, I'll give you $30 million if you come on my team. That's not allowed. But Ricky could say, hey, if the situation was right, now I might look at coming over to LIV. He could do that. That's fine. Another thing that I found quite interesting in this whole thing is obviously the how do you gain your status back onto the there's a pathway for players who want to come back. I love how they say this. There's a pathway for those players who want to come back. And I've said this before, and I believe, and I'll say it again, that it's not a pathway to come back for like Brooks Koepka or Dustin Johnson. It's a pathway for players who get kicked off of or are no longer, let's say, ranked high enough to stay on the LIV Tour. It's a pathway for those players to come back to the PGA Tour. And what will that look like? That's what that is. There's a path. We're creating a pathway. Well, guess what they're also going to create is a pathway to get to LIV. It works both ways. So they just haven't announced that yet, but that's coming. There's going to be a pathway here and there, both ways. For those who can't play on LIV anymore, you can come back. For those who here, you got to, and there's already ways via Asian Tour and other tours, but this is going to be the PGA Tour version of Pathway Back. They also say that Jay Monahan will continue as commissioner. It's interesting that we haven't heard from him. He's had a medical procedure, something's going on. We don't know what's happening. I think it's interesting that there's a leak. All this leak stuff from LIV gets out there, but there's not one leak about Jay Monahan. What happened to Monahan? What happened? Did he have knee surgery? Did he have a heart? I hope he's okay, obviously. Like, I don't want anything bad to be physically wrong with him, but we don't have any leaks. So you're telling me that his group, his infrastructure, his organization there is that tight-lipped, that is so secure and rock solid. Not one leak from within, and yet there is a leak somewhere in the LIV and new organization of like 4 people. There's a leak in those 4 people, but there's not a leak in the Monahan camp. That doesn't see that when you look at it like that, it doesn't make any sense. So we can't hear one person say, "Hey, I saw him come in and it looked like he was having heart surgery," or something. Like, I don't know, right? There's just not one thing from anybody. Somebody knows something, but we don't hear anything. That's why I don't think he's going to remain commissioner. I think it's going to slowly, another leak is going to come out that he's going to be no longer able to do his job, and then a new commissioner. But currently, to appease, I think, the PGA Tour players and everything, but just kind of keep everything as steady and calm as possible for now, they're saying Monahan is going to remain the guy in charge of everything. And then the new entity and the Saudi-backed PIF, Players Investment Fund, or the Public Investment Fund, will have opportunity to invest in events on the new entity or the new tour, or the PGA Tour events, which to me is a little weird because you have basically the head of LIV investing in events of the PGA Tour. That doesn't make any sense. But it's a way to keep the PGA Tour, alive and running, and they want it to run. They want that because LIV really isn't set up for all those players. And so I think what the PGA Tour has going for it is going to continue, and then LIV is also going to continue. And then the last thing that I think we're going to slowly unravel, and this is the one I think is going to take a little more time, and more leaks will come out on this than anything else. I think more leaks will slowly drop in with this one issue. And let me know what you think below. Comment on this too, please. I want to know. I read them all. Like I said, I read most of them. I try to read them all. Some of you guys just comment a lot. I mean, it's great. I love it. I love going through that. Here's what we have. They're trying to come up with a way to make the guys who were loyal, who were offered money to LIV. They're offered whatever money, 20 million, 30 million, billion, whatever. They were offered money to go to LIV, and they chose to be loyal to the PGA Tour. No, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to be loyal to you. And they were talked into it by Monahan and the crew to stay loyal. We got to be strong. We got to right this ship together. We got to weather the bad storm. We got to stick it out. Whatever was said, whatever was offered, whatever was, encouraged by them to so-and-so players who were offered money from LIV, but they said, no, I'm going to stay. What do we do with those? How do they get compensated for their loyalty now that there's going to be some joint, venture? Well, here, I'm going to answer that with a question. If I was told that I should invest in Apple stock, Matt, you should invest. Now's the time. This is time to invest. I'm telling you, good things are going to happen. They're going to merge with Microsoft. You should, and I'm like, no. I'm not going to invest. I'm going to stay back. I'm going to stay with whatever. And then they blow up and they might merge with Microsoft and they make tons of money. And I'm out. I had an opportunity and I chose to not do it. Should I be compensated for that? I turned down a potential. Or if somebody's like, they are offered millions of dollars and they turned it down. So it's kind of like too bad, so sad, right? Like you had an opportunity, you turned it down. Other people took the risk. Phil Mickelson took the risk. Bryson, Brooks kept. A lot of people, DJ, they took the money and the risk. There was a risk it could have failed and then they would have been out. What would you have done with them then? Would you have said, come on back, no penalty, no big deal, welcome back? They wouldn't have done that. That would not have happened. They would have been like, man, too bad. You got a year suspension, 2-year suspension. Then you got to kind of fight your way back through the mini tours, just like everybody else. You ditched it. You got to earn your way back. That's probably what they would have said. So then to somehow compensate loyalty, all of the sudden, you took no risk. You stayed put. If the PGA Tour or the new entity wants to compensate them in some way, shape, or form, that's on them. They could do it, but I don't think they're owed personally anything for loyalty or not loyalty. You could have been a risk taker, but you weren't. You wanted to stay and stay true, and that's fine, and loyal to what was going on and what you believed in. And with that, congratulations. No, that's fine. You could sleep great at night. You could be just happy with the decisions you made, but I don't think you're owed anything. Now, you may think differently, and let me know. Maybe change. If you do, change my mind. Give me sound argument. I'm not just stubborn. Like, I don't just pick a side and stay there and say, forget it. No matter what, I don't dig my heels in. Like, give me an argument that makes me say, okay, you know what? I'm going to reconsider my position here. And they should be, and if they should be given something, what should it be? Money? How much money? How much should it be? A percentage of what they were offered? Should it be what they were offered? What should they get and why? Not just they should, but why? What's the reasoning? What's so compelling about it that makes it, that they should have that? Because I don't know. I'm kind of from school like, too bad. You had a chance. You turned it down. Tough cookies, as my mom always said. Tough cookies. See you later. Let me know your thoughts. It's just every day we get something different, and more's going to get leaked very, very soon. We'll see you then.